Welcome to 5 Minute Magic from the Mindful Creative Podcast, a short bonus episode sharing tips and insights from the pages of the book of the same title. Every week I'll be sharing 1 or 2 ideas that can give you an actionable takeaway for your creative process, your work, your business, or just food for thought for the weekend ahead. These episodes share content from the audiobook, and you can find the link to the full version in the show notes below.
Today is about creative blocks, how to get easily unstuck. I've been thinking about creative blocks for a very long time, and of course, just like everybody else, I used to struggle with creative blocks, thinking they were inevitable. 20 odd years later, I believe creative blocks don't exist. They're just conflicting, unguarded thoughts that cloud our thinking. So, in this chapter, or in this preview, I'm talking about the fact like how we can move our mind and do things that will just unlock something new, something different. Because I used to say to some of the people in my team in the past, like, start where it makes sense. Sometimes it just feels so frustrating when you can't make any kind of progress because you follow the process from the start where you would be expected to make the progress from. But, write sentence halfway through, write snippets, like design a contact page of a website before you design a homepage. Do whatever feels right, because that's where the mind will start moving with the work, and hopefully the change will be afoot. So, it's always amazing to see students' faces when I say creative block doesn't exist, because they're like, what do you mean? So, I'll leave you with this preview from a Positive Habits chapter and see what you can find.
Becoming easily unstuck. What happens when you decide to drive to a place you've never been before? Do you plan your journey meticulously, or do you simply decide to set off and see how and when you get there? The lack of map and direction will easily get you into a few dead ends and one-way streets, and will ultimately take much longer. It might be fun to get lost and see the unexpected sometimes, but it often doesn't work when time is in short supply, such as the moments we try to break through a creative block on a stressful deadline day. Taking small steps of positive action can be really useful in confronting creative blocks, one of the creative's natural enemies. But what are creative blocks, beyond times when the ideas or the inspiration just won't come? They can be a mixture of a lack of mapped out process, anxiety, and ego, a self-imposed lack of direction. That might sound a little harsh, but your creativity and your ideas ultimately have to come from within. So if you're sat there, unable to think of a good idea, then who else is stopping you from coming up with the idea except yourself? Of course, some days we feel naturally more in tune than others. The work just seems to flow and we can pluck genius ideas out of nowhere. But the times when that's not happening are the times when we can either sit there worrying and getting frustrated, or start doing things to tune back in and put ourselves in inspiration's way. Positive, effective approaches are the key to getting yourself unstuck every time. Or even better, not getting stuck in the first place. There are many ways this can be done, and most of them involve stepping away a little and engaging your mind in something else. It can be little things where you time out to have fun with your creativity, even doodling moustaches on celebrities in magazines, or doing some automatic writing. Just start writing without stopping to think about or analyse it. You can step away from your work and go for a walk or a run. You can go and read a chapter of a book or do a crossword or play an instrument. You can maybe even look back over some of your existing portfolio. Anything that takes the pressure off and lets your mind have a wander. It's a positive way of expanding on pausing to take a breath, and it can help you to rediscover pathways to solutions that are always there, but just need finding. Start where it makes sense. Writing in the middle of a sentence It wouldn't make sense, would it? That's not a typo. It's showing you how confusing things can quickly appear if you start from an illogical place. But it's something that we can often end up doing, especially when we're in our element and our ideas are coming at us from all angles, often for a bit of work that we've yet to get to. And believe me, I know how easy it can be to suddenly find yourself down those rabbit holes, not wanting to let the idea get away. And whilst it is positive and beautiful to have the flexibility to reach out and catch those ideas by noting them down, it's equally important that you can switch back into a logical course of action. Otherwise, your work can become like a drunken conversation, veering off on tangents to the point where you forget what you were originally talking about. The easiest way to navigate this issue is always to start anything, your day, your work, even your rest and play, from a logical starting point. You might need to have some flexibility as to where that logical starting point might be on a given day. But breaking time and tasks down beforehand and planning out how you can most effectively employ your time and energy can get you on the good foot. Starting this way can also help you to basically understand the work you're doing. Many of us have jumped straight into something before without reading the email or brief properly, only to find ourselves quickly getting confused. We have to stop and go back, and we lose valuable time. Sometimes the desire to act can be so strong that even stopping for a minute to take a breath can have our creative urges pulling at us like an impatient child. But when we've got into that space, even just using it to read something back to ourselves or listen to a voice note again can set us up for a much more focused and productive time.